And if you remember, Mayor, this is the project that we're currently initiating the process on the wastewater treatment plant.
Right, yeah.
Comparison to the prior years on your government wide. Then if you want, we can turn to page 7 and 8. This is the governmental funds based on the normal way that we account for governmental funds. And here we have this is basically all the governmental funds, like the general fund, the debt service fund, economic development, and your non-major governmental funds. And all of these indicate a positive fund balance at the end of the year. If you look at the bottom on the total fund balance on the general fund, we have 2,259,000. The debt service was 982,000. EDC's got 840,000, and we got 7,456,000 in your non-governmental funds. The reason that this one is high, of course, is because you have a lot of your bond money that hasn't been spent yet. That you issued bonds during the year and it still hasn't been spent. So that's one of the reasons that we have a high fund balance on that. On page 10 and 11, we have the statement of revenues and expenditures, and we have again the same funds at the top. Overall, you had $15 million in revenues for 19, and you had $15,709,000 in the previous year, which is just a slight decline on the revenues. Down below, we have your operating expenditures. It's 16 million for the year versus 19 million the previous year. The main difference here is your capital outlay. Last year you spent 4 million in capital outlay. This year you spent 1,036,000. The other change is there is the debt, the principal debt that was paid of 2,000,004 compared to 1,382,000. This is again due because you did some refunding of some of your bond issues during the year. Down below we have other financing sources. Again, looking at the 19 year, you have $4 million of bond proceeds, of which part of that was used to refund some of the bonds above that we have as refunding issues. Principal payments, sorry. Any questions on the governmental funds? On page, let's go to page 13, because 13 summarizes your governmental funds in terms of the budget. We have the budget, the original budget, we have a final budget, and then we have the actual. And on the revenues, we overstated revenues by $262,000. On the expenditures, you went over the budget by $248,000 for the year. One of the reasons was, of course, the principal payments on your bonds, and normally that's going to happen because your accounting department doesn't normally think about adjusting the budget for the bond issues that were refunded during the year. On page 14, we have the statement of position on your utility fund. We have a utility water and sewer fund, we have the solid waste fund, and when we have the non-major enterprise funds, which or your capital projects fund for the water, for the utility system. On the total assets for this one, we have 74 million, and 61 million the previous year. Of course, all of that increase is all in the restricted cash investments of 13 million versus 1,000,006 the prior year. We do have a change in the non-depreciable assets from 13 million to 16 million. And of course, the depreciable assets declined a little bit from 30 million to 29, mostly due, of course, to the depreciation. Down below, we have the comparisons of your debt. You have 28 million this year compared to 16 million. And this is a $10 million difference that we were talking about earlier. Down below, we have the restrictions, the 13 million on your capital projects, and we have 12,445,000 unrestricted. On page 15, we have statement of revenues, expenses, changes in net position. And here we have the utility fund, water and sewer fund, solid waste, and I guess the non-major fund. On the revenues, we have 8,000,004 for the current year versus 8,000,005 the previous year. We had a decline a little bit on the water sales from 2.4 to 2.3, and sewer sales from 2.7 to 2.8. The refuse fees, or your solid waste, went up from 3 million to 3,104,000. On the expenditures, we have an increase of about 200,000, 6,402,000 the previous year versus 6,670,000 in the current year. Depreciation went up slightly from last year, and at this point, you have a profit of 606 on your operating income. And down below, we have the non-operating revenue and expenses. And again, we end up with a positive balance except for the non-enterprise funds. And then on the final balance, we have a profit of 1,018,000 in the water and sewer fund, 167 solid waste, and 249 in the non-major enterprise funds. Well, the non-major enterprise funds really is just the funds that are being used to accumulate your your bond issue money, and then accounting for the expenditures for the year. Any questions? That pretty much covers the whole city at this point. The only other areas that I wanted to mention, unless you have any questions, is the property tax. Your collection effort was very good. It's on page 37. Your collection effort stated at about 99.25% this year. So you couldn't ask for better. And on page 38 and 39, you have your capital assets for the governmental funds and the capital assets for the utility fund. And basically, all it does is show you the beginning balances, and it shows the additions for the year and then the balance at the end of the year. On the governmental funds, on the construction in progress, you spent 420,000, but you completed 2,065,000 in projects. Most of that going into buildings, machinery and equipment, and infrastructure. On the utility fund, you spent 1,596,000 in construction in progress, and of course that's not completed yet. Then below that we have other additions. The main one being 1,251,000 in the vehicles, and that had to do with the solid waste department. You find some trucks over there. Am I correct? Okay. That pretty much covers this audit as far as I can have for now, unless you have any questions.
Any questions at this time? Mr. Arjona, so what's your, as far as your recommendation or your comment in regards to this audit, sir? That you really looked at it very thoroughly?
Right, the finance director, myself, and the firm here, we went through it. Everything looks good. There was a good solid financial audit report. There was only one, and as you can see.
We do have the communication with governance, and then there we have we attach to that the recommendations.
Right.
That you have.
So the recommendation is in the very back on page 83, where it says that was there a significant deficiency is identified? There's no. Pretty much all of them is no, with the exception of the audit qualified as a low risk audit. It's a yes, so that's a good thing for the city. So again, thank you so much, sir, for the work, and I want to also thank the staff for providing the necessary documentation that was provided to the firm. They did a thorough job on this audit. We feel very confident that the audit is good and sound.
Questions? No? We're good. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, this time just approve the audit as presented.
Okay. With that being said, excuse me, is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
The next item, Mayor Commissioners, we have discussion on the following matters. The first one is a preliminary and final plat approval of the Solis Trevino Phase 1 subdivision, being a 4-acre tract of land out of Lot 17, San Juan Hacienda States, Unit Number 1, located approximately a quarter of a mile east of Veterans Boulevard along the north side of Whole Acres Road. It is requested by Arturo Garcia Engineering Services, PLLC. As you may recall, this is a property on Whole Acres, going west. They want to get the subdivision out of the way. They want to get established so that they can provide, the proper services to that subdivision, and that's what they're asking for. As you see on your packet, there was some variances that they're asking for. Obviously, some of these, such as the one expanding the street, but that's going to be a little bit too much for the whole people that whoever wants to whoever wants to do the subdivisions there. So this is before you to take action on denying or approving it. There was it went over to the PNC already on these variances with the denial. However, if we look at the whole project in place, these people have been living there for over 15 years, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe more than that. The way that those properties were sold, it was, I don't know how to explain that, but it was one of those, they took advantage of the position that they were back in the day. So the only thing they want to do is comply by subdividing. I think it's a good thing for the city, but it's your all's call on that, Mayor.
How did the PNC vote?
They voted denial, but this is based on the variances that they're asking for, and this is pretty much across the board. However, every subdivision is different, cases, only because of how this one was initiated back up, I want to say 20 years ago, if not longer. These families that are there along the whole acres were taking advantage of the position where they were back then. They were told one thing, it was not really there. They did install a lift station that was never completed, that was never done. So having said that, we had to go back in there and abandon the lift station because of the way that it was done. So the only thing these people are asking is, and the others are gonna come as well, they want to subdivide, but they want your permission to subdivide. These people have been there for, like I said, for over 20 years, living in that place. What they want to do is just be with the requirements of what the city is asking for. Being compliant, yes, sir.
They're willing to comply?
They're willing to comply, yes.
Let me ask you this, have they reached out to, what is the county there working with them as well?
As far as we know, the only thing that they're working with the county is on the septic tank because there's no sewer systems there.
Exactly.
They did approve it. They did the environmental already.
And that was my next question
Yes,
too. Did
they approved it. As a matter of fact, it should be good to go already because this was like 2 weeks ago when the county was doing the permit checking on that. They did the environmentals, all of that passed, and it's just waiting on the approval of the subdivision.
Finally getting to where,
Yes, exactly.
that's the big picture here.
Right.
Commissioner Juan, on that subdivision that you're all trying to, they're trying to ask for, is that city?
That is city, yes.
But we're gonna have drain and sewer and drain for that one?
Like I said, there's no sewer. There's septic tanks.
Which the county already gave them permission.
Yes, they went through the county because of the fact that we don't do septic tanks inspections here. We refer them back to the county. The county approved it. There was a letter that was passed, I want to say a couple of meetings ago, that we brought before the city for like an MOU working with the county on this respect. And it was approved. It was, like I said, the septic tank system should be approved by now already.
By step is being followed.
That is correct.
It hadn't been before
It had never done before.
to get that
Right.
on the record, okay?
Right. Yes, and it's on that side of the city that for gravity situations, we can't at this point accommodate sewer. Maybe some in the future, once we update or upgrade the sewer plan, we can look into accommodating or re-putting in there a lift station. That's going to be a little bit costly on the city, but it's something that we can look into, further down the road.
Right now, present day, the way to, everything's being followed, that's the way to go.
Right.
Projection time do we believe that we're gonna be able to service the sewer?
I want to say any time between maybe more than 5 years. Because the sewer plan, once we finish with that, it'll be maybe a couple of years from now. Because there's a long process. By the time we start, by the time we finish.
Is that the area where it floods?
It is,
And you're gonna have septic tanks there?
yes.
Well, my question, I don't know about you guys. Where the house that I have the ranch, where my son lives, if it floods, then I'm gonna have any use of using the restrooms, anything. Everything pops up, and you're gonna have all the stuff going out of the septic tanks.
That's one of the things that we're working very closely with the county drain ditch, that ensuring that when this happens, we were ready, available to pump the water over to the canal. And one of the things that the reason it flooded a bit back then was because of the valve that was locked when it should have been opened. Yes, and at that point.
So now it's more of a proactive approach now.
Right. One of the things that we do, Mayor, Commissioners, is that whenever we know that there's a storm coming, we're actually with the pumps ready to go. We get to communicate with the county so that they can be there if in case it needs to be opened, the valve. Now, at that time when it actually flooded back about 2 years ago, more than that, understanding is that the valve was completely locked and we had no means of opening it up because it's not controlled by us, it's controlled by the county. But they'll be working with us lately very closely on that. If we need a pump, it's ready, available by the county, not one of our pumps. And they're there to pump the water over.
And then pump that water into the canal?
Into the canal, yeah, the drain ditch.
No, well, I don't know what you guys feel, but
For the county to approve something like that, I'm sure that they go
Yeah.
through their measures and their studies and all that, in all these scenarios.
Right. And
oh,
now,
yeah, of course. I
another-
mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're gonna do what needs to be done, but, I don't feel right on this one. I don't know about you guys. The reason is that, like I said, once it floods, from septic tanks, everything's gonna come out. And if they're gonna pump the water into the canals, you're gonna be pumping all the stuff into the canal.
Right, this is a drainage.
Because that's the same thing that, they told us. Yeah, because when they, yeah, it's a drainage.
Drainage ditch, that's what it's used for.
Well, I
canal.
thought you said you were pumping it.
No,
into
it's
the
a
canal.
ditch.
You don't pump sewer to.
It's a drainage.
Cause the only
Yeah.
one there is not a drainage, it's a
Yes.
canal.
No,
Yeah,
sir.
but you don't pump
The one on
sewage,
this side.
sewage into a canal
No,
regardless.
the canal, it's not a canal, the drainage along Hall Acres, it's a drainage.
It's a drainage.
Yes, it's
Now-
not a canal.
we
That water that goes in there is not used for any farming or
No,
anything like that.
One of the repurposes of the shooting range that we have on the Hall Acres as well is to abandon them once we move it over to the new substation and create a detention pond in that area. It's big enough for a detention pond that water can detain there. So that'll be also one of the things that we're looking into the future for these people, to accommodate those people.
Any other questions for Mr. Juan?
If I may,
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Arjona, so from what I read, it's a 4-acre tract. They're gonna divide it into 4 1-acre lots, or 1-acre I guess, because it's 4 acres, right? And they're dividing it into 4, so it's gonna be 1 acre a piece. Right. Okay, is it family owned?
Family
I mean,
owned.
like, are they gonna, family moving in into those 4, or is it?
That I cannot
know?
answer, whether they're gonna be moving in. I know there's an existing family that lives there, plus we allow them to move in I guess a mobile home in there, with the agreement and the understanding that they cannot, we're not gonna allow it, we're not gonna issue out a CO until this passes.
Okay, now,
The owners, it's Rafael Trejo, the one that is asking for the subdivision. He's the owner, along with Ms. Francis Zavala, or Francisca Zavala, are the owners of this property.
now the variance as far as the fire hydrant, I know Chief is not here. Would that be an issue? Or,
As far as we know, as far as I know, no, because if it already made it here, that means it's already been waived, the fire hydrant. I'm not sure where it's at, but there's gotta be one there closely by where the sanitation department is.
I don't think it's that far. It's about 1/10 of a mile.
I was
anything,
gonna say, you're right,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta
not
be
that
there
far.
Because I always
somewhere.
see it going towards the Akron.
Right.
So if there's one by the ECFAM, so it's gotta be there,
Yeah,
in that area.
it's right there.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No, we're good. Okay, with that being said, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Excuse me, for the record, I'm just saying that it's, for me, it's just the safety of the people, because I know when it floods, I know everything comes out of the septic tanks, and all I'm looking at is just the safety of the people, because of all the exits that's being allowed out of the septic tanks.
Go ahead, Mr. Arjona. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
the second item under item B, discussion and possible action regarding request for pursuit bid number 19-13-03-13, which is a skid unit. This is an item that was submitted for bids. Both vendors, which is CET, as you can see in your packet, CET and Delta Fire and Safety, Inc., they provided the same amount of money for $44,000 each. The only difference on both of them is the installation, where there was an option 1 and option 2, whether the installation, this is only the unit. The chassis, will provide the chassis, but they're gonna take care of that at no additional cost. However, the other one will be an additional $3,800. So that's why Chief recommended for CET to take as the same amount of bidding. However, is the installation was gonna be included as well.
Any questions for Mr. Arjona? If not, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Motion carries.
The next item, under public notice, public hearing, I'm sorry, I'll take no action on this one if, because of the simple reason that we did not make it in time for the publishers, to publish in the newspaper.
Which is what, the 10 days?
It's like a 10-day
10 days.
rule.
Okay, no problem. We'll take no action on this one. So at this time, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting has been adjourned at 12:41 PM. Thank you.
Thank you.